I've bought a Crawford Performance Engineering sort of SMT10 based monster truck off eBay, and this is the current setup which it came with. Well, it's not quite the same. It actually had dual shocks, one going from there to there, another going from there to there, but I have taken the extra shocks off now, just because the angle on them wasn't quite the same, so they were binding a little bit. Now it is actually a pretty nice spec. It came with a brushless motor, which I don't know whether you can see in there. It's a Hobbywing, what is it, a 3650 sized motor, 3300 kV, and it's the newer G2 SL with the temperature sensor, which you can see poking out the back there. It's got a Max10 ESC, and that's the 60 amp Max10, not the 120 Max10 SCT, which I've got in the Team Magic. This is the smaller version, and it also came with the Tactic TX300 radio, which I believe is standard in SMT10. It's got the standard SMT10 shocks with the red springs. Don't know what the red springs mean, but they've got the little red marking on the bottom here. So the other shocks they had on when they were doubled up didn't have the springs on. It was literally just the dampers, so I'm not entirely sure why they did that. I mean, it did look pretty cool, but it wasn't maybe as good as it could have been. Now the other thing that it's got obviously is these SSD trailing arms, lower links. I'm not sure which they are, I guess. It's also got these sway bars front and rear, which are a bit too thick in my opinion, because they don't really let the axle articulate very much. So I might take those off and get some thinner ones or something. Some other upgrades that it came with is a 20 kilogram steering servo. This is a PowerHD waterproof one, I forget what it's called, an LW20MG, and it's got these, I don't know whether these are stainless steel or titanium steering linkages, but it's got those, and it also has the aluminium servo horn. Now this has been causing some problems actually, because I don't know if you can see, but basically it keeps stripping the actual internal gears of the servo. As you can see here, this is a dead one that I had the motor, well not the motor, but the internals of this are kind of dead. So I took the main gear out of this one, and you can see that broke as well. You can see there's like 3 teeth or something broken off there, and the same thing has happened with this one. This play here is actually a tooth missing, because if I try and turn now, the you can hear the motor spinning in here, but the steering's not moving, whereas it should sound like that. You can hear it click where the tooth's not there, so it does need a servo saver really. I haven't decided yet whether to go with like a hot racing servo horn based saver, or whether to go with the Proline servo saver, which has like a spring and a thing here which springs side to side when you have a big hit. The axles themselves are completely standard plastic axles front and rear, and same with the drive shafts as well. The centre drive shafts are RC4WD drive steel drive shafts though, so they're pretty good. And also in the transmission, it's got a 16 tooth pinion, a 56 tooth spur gear, and the SSD steel hardened gears as well. So like this, the drive line from here, well the spur gear is actually plastic, but everything from the pinion to here is actually hardened steel. So it also came with a aluminium diff case and hardened steel gears for the inside of the diff, but it didn't come with the pin and ring gear for the diff. So I've ordered those, the hardened machined ones, and I've also ordered the geared up ones as well. The speed of the truck isn't actually too bad. I've run it on 2S because that's kind of what fits in the battery tray, and I'm running my Dean's to XT90 converter because it came with a Dean's. I haven't sold the XT90 on yet. So it wasn't too bad speed wise, but I have ordered the overdrive gears for the differential, so that should speed it up a little bit more. And with the motor only being 3300 kV and me only running it on 2S, it is a little, it's not too bad on the speed wise really. I just run it around the garden, so it's not like I'm bombing across a field or anything at 50 miles an hour. I've got other cars that can do that, probably much better than a solid axle monster truck. So yeah, it's still got the plastic upper links, so I don't really see a point in upgrading those until they break. They are pretty flexible, which is quite nice, so I might just leave them on as like a break point for now. And other than that, it seems to be okay so far. I mean, the servo is actually a pretty annoying problem because I've literally only put one 2S pack through and it stripped this gear here and the one inside within one 2S pack, and it was literally just from rolling over basically, which is pretty ridiculous. So I'm not really impressed with that. I might get a different servo entirely, we'll have to see. But it definitely needs a servo saver. Now for the tyres, I've got these Grave Digger tyres, so these are the BKT or the Axial tyres that they made for the Grave Digger. Maximum Destruction ones are orange. However, I do have the Maximum Destruction body shell, as you can see there. Now the body posts on this truck are side mount ones and they're not very good. One of them snapped off in the packaging, as you can see there, so it's only got 3. And so because of that they've cut off, or the previous owners cut off 2 of the fingers on this skull thing on both sides, which is a bit annoying cause it's left this slight Dremel mark on the edge. I mean, it doesn't look too bad when it's going round, but yeah. And also I rolled it and all these little spike things on the top fell off. You'll also notice that the body shell is black instead of the usual silver, and I think it's actually been painted on the outside, because if you look at the scratches on the shell you can see it's silver underneath and it seems to be black on the outside, so it's almost giving it that kind of what they have on the armour cars, where they have the silver paint underneath the black or blue on the Notorious, and when it gets scratched it looks like metal underneath. So it's a pretty cool looking body, to be fair. Anyway, one of the main things that I don't really know about solid axle monster trucks, as this is the first one I've had, is what to do with the shock setup, because basically what I want to do is I want to have it so I have a bit more travel at the front, and I also wanted to make sure the servo doesn't hit the chassis bar here that's going across this crossbeam. I can move this crossbeam to there maybe, I'm not sure, but you can see on the back I've actually got loads and loads of travel without anything hitting anything, and there's still that much more extra room that I could potentially get. I could gain another like inch of travel there, and I want to do that at the front so the servo comes up through this gap here. That would be ideal, but I'm not sure how to do that. Now the other thing, the one thing I did think of is have it so that the top links are movable. There's like 9 different locations, but wherever I seem to put them, it kind of messes up the suspension geometry. And what I was thinking originally is, as it went up, I could have it so that the axle rolled backwards. So as it went up like that, the axle would roll backwards so that the servo would be at that angle and go up that way. But everything I've tried hasn't really worked, and the main thing that's stopping me from doing that is keeping it so that there's actually a gap between there, which it's not focusing on. Epic fail, come on camera. Basically a gap between the upper links and the servo there, which at the moment it's pretty damn close. Basically it's almost touching. So yeah, there is that, and also these shocks are like pretty leaky. But I'm not really too bothered about the leaky shocks, to be honest, because I'll probably change the shock oil in them anyway. But yeah, that's my Crawford Performance Engineering TVP sort of SMT10, well, kind of not SMT10, monster truck. Yeah, that's about it for this one, I think. Goodbye.